My favorite theorem is the fundamental theorem of calculus. If a function f is continuous on the closed interval a to b, and f is antiderivative of f on the interval a to b, then the integral from a to b of f of x equals f of b minus f of a. My tip to you is to do your homework. Do it all. Don't cheat. Use your brain. That's how I passed the class. That's how I met her standards. Do all your homework.
Wow.
My favorite theorem of calculus is Raleigh's theorem, which states that if y equals f, or if f of x is a differentiable function, which implies continuity, and f of a equals f of b, there has to be a place where the slope equals 0, and you can see that on the picture. And my advice to all students is that you do the AP journals without cheating on them, because it's going to pay off. And that's how I met Miss Carey's standards.
The rule is the product rule. It states that if a function is f of x times g of x, in order to find the derivative, it is f prime of x times g of x plus g prime of x times f of x. And my advice for you is to always do your homework and don't cheat. And that's how I met Miss Carey's standards.
Wow, calculus seems so interesting.
Alright, I'm going to tell you guys about the average value rule. Average value is my favorite calculus rule because it's pretty easy and you just need to know how to use integrals. The average value of a function f of x, which is continuous on the closed interval of a to b, is solvable by the equation 1 over b minus a of the integral from a to b of f of x dx. The average value is used in calculus very often, but don't panic. Use it anytime a question says, what is the average value? It's that simple. And my advice would be for you to actually do your homework, show up, and take every practice exam Ms. Carey gives you. It will be helpful in the future. That is how I met Ms. Carey's standards.
So my favorite rule is L'Hopital's rule, which says that if we have an indeterminate form of 0 over 0 or infinity over infinity, then all you need to do is take the derivative of the numerator and the denominator and then take the limit. And my advice is to actually go to class, because every day we learn something new and you miss a lot. And that's how I met Ms. Carey's standards.
Hello children, my favorite thing that I have learned from Ms. Carey's class this year is that average rate of change is slope, and you'll remember it if you say it in a Scottish accent. So you gotta be like, average rate of change is slope. So if you just remember that, then on the test it'll be so easy. And my tip for Ms. Carey's class is to take everything as serious as possible, because at the beginning of the year you're not going to think it's a big deal, but at the end, you know, the AP test is a big deal, so take everything serious. And that is how I met Ms. Carey's standards.
My favorite rule from calculus was the chain rule, and if you follow me I can show you how to do it. So you have an equation here, and then by the magic of the chain rule, you take the power, you move it to the front, you use the thing in the parentheses, and then you subtract the power by 1, and then you find the derivative of the function there, which is 3. And then you continue, so 18 x plus 5. That's your answer. Alright, and my favorite, or my lesson to you for calculus would be to keep all your papers, because the notebook checks can be a great help to your grade. And that is how I met Ms. Carey's standards.
My favorite theorem in calculus was the volume of solid revolution. And for this, if it's rotating around a horizontal line, use the formula pi times the integral from a to b of the radius squared, now dx. And now if there's a hole, you subtract the whole squared. And if it's around the vertical axis, you do pi times the integral from c to d of the radius squared minus the whole, if there's a hole, dy. And when you do around the vertical axis, you want to do it in terms of y. And advice for next year's AP Calculus students, learn your rules and the theorems. The better you know these, the easier the year will be. And that's how I met Ms. Carey's standards.
My favorite thing that we learned in calculus was the definition of a limit, which is if f of x becomes arbitrarily close to a unique number L as x approaches c from the left and right sides, the limit of f of x as x approaches c is L. And a tip for all you future AP calculusers is to always keep all your progress reports and your reward cards because you'll need them. And that's how I met Miss Carey standards.
My favorite thing to learn in AP Calculus this year was the extreme value theorem, which states if on a closed interval, AB, and if it's continuous, then there's at least one maximum or minimum on the interval. And then my tip to the new AP Calculus kids is to go back before your test and rework all the AP problems. It might seem tedious, but it really helps. And that's how I met Miss Carey's standards.
So my favorite theorem that we learned in AP Calculus was the intermediate value theorem, which states that if a function f is continuous on a closed interval a to b, then it takes on every value between f of a and f of b. A tip that I have for the AP Calculus kids this year is probably take AP journals very seriously, because that is exactly what the test will look like, and that is how I met Miss Carey's standards.